So I'm going to talk about this extension slash expansion slash inspiration spin-off project from YT called ytree, right? And so ytree is essentially YT for merger tree, right? So if you're not familiar with cosmology or hierarchical structure formation, this is sort of how we visualize the formation and growth of dark matter halos. They start at these small overdensities in the initial matter fields, and they grow by accreting material and by merging with each other. And as they get bigger, they merge with the small things around them, but also with bigger and bigger things in this hierarchical process. And you end up with something that naturally is very visualized as this tree, right? Because gravity only pulls things together. And for the most part, you never come back apart. There is one specific counterexample of that known as flybys, where you have things that are temporarily considered merged and then they fly away. But in general, galaxy formation, structure formation could be described and visualized by this tree process, right? And so, just as you take the halo catalogs, you can link together catalogs from multiple periods of time to create these merger trees. And they're yet another data product that come out of these simulations. But just like snapshots and just like snapshots, merger trees have the same sort of file format problem, right? There are many codes to create halo catalogs and merger trees, and they all make their own data formats, right? So that's why I made ytree sort of inspired by this notion that we could generalize internal data structures and then create these abstracted away front ends, just like in YT, and then do the same thing, right? So this is what ytree now supports. AHF, a couple different flavors of consistent trees, which comes from Rockstar, Gadget 4, a couple of different flavors of L Halo tree, which are like the illustrious TNG catalogs, for example, are L Halo tree HDF5. So you can you can get the public ones from their website and read it in with ytree. Moria, you can get Rockstar catalogs, just the actual catalog, since they list their descendant information in them. And then a couple other things like Tree Frog, and also this internal ytree format. And I'll talk about why you might want to do that in a second. Right, so it's very similar, right? You import ytree. And then you do a load, right? And just like YT, it tries to figure out what kind it is. And if it's not the special kind that I made, it shames you a little bit into perhaps saving it into that format, right? And then you can get very similar stuff like metadata for the simulation, as long as that's in there. And then you have a field list, just in the same way. Oops. Right. So these are all the fields that are available, one item per halo, essentially. So, the number of progenitors, the mass, so on and so forth, right? And then, so when you load in a data set, we call them an arbor, because for a period of time, people made me believe that an arbor was a collection of trees. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't, but I think it's not as true as I thought it was. So anyway, we refer to them as arbors, right? So, but this is the loaded in thing. This is essentially the ytree equivalent to a data set, right? So similar to YT, we do everything as lazily as possible. We try to make the initial load basically nothing. And then the moment you start asking for stuff is when it starts grabbing things from files. So the size is essentially telling me how many trees do I have available in this harbor. And I can grab data for the head of every tree simply by querying it by name, right? So if I do mass, arbor mass is going to give me the masses of all of the heads of all of the trees. So basically all of the halos at the lowest redshift that the halo catalog went to. So I can do something like this to get the most massive one. And then I can grab an actual tree by indexing them with the integers. So that's going to give me this ytree object. If I do, okay, if I do, for example, arbor mass, you can just see what it looks like. Oh, goes right over the top, but you can see they're just masses. That doesn't ruin everything. Oh, it did. Start this over again. Won't do that again. Once you have a tree, then you can query stuff on it, right? So it's an object that can then grab fields like mass and redshift, so on and so forth. But then you may want, how was I doing this? Oh, right.
Can I ask a question here?
Yeah,
I thought a tree span time.
yeah,
So how do you have like a single mass and a single time?
right. So that is the value of the head of the tree. Right, right. That's coming up next. Exactly. Is it coming up next? Right. It's coming up eventually.
Okay.
Right. So the other thing that trees that a given halo. So I'm kind of not using the terminology great, right? Any item in a tree is also a node in the tree, like a halo in the tree, and so I can get its descendants and its ancestors, right? Simply by saying, here I am, this is me. I can get my dot ancestors and dot descendants are going to give me who came before me and who came after me, right? Right. And then if I want to actually know about the tree as a whole entity, right? This is the thing. So then I can look at if I can address this tree object in 3 different ways. I can address it as a tree, as a forest, or as just the line of the progenitor line, right? So tree and forest for most formats are the same thing. Tree is essentially the whole tree, and a forest is kind of a superset of a tree that includes flybys that may have multiple endpoints because you've had different trees intersect and temporarily be connected and go away, right? And then proj is essentially just the main progenitor line, defined by default as the most massive, but you can define it in other ways. You can say, I want to define by the greatest circular velocity or whatever, right? So if I address them this way, these create generators that allow me to just sort of walk through the tree, right? So I can see that there are 83 halos in this tree and 48 in a long progenitor line of the most massive progenitors, right? And then I can walk through each one. Or if I want all of the masses or virial radii, I can address them this way by doing it sort of in the YT way of like field type, field name, right? And that's going to give me my array of all of the virial radii for like all of the most massive progenitors. Or I could do like tree, and that would give me the whole tree, right? Or I could do mass. So those are all the masses. Or I can just do one at a time, right? If I address any node, any halo in here just with mass, I'm just going to get it, right? But I can address any node with proj or tree, and it's going to act like the head of its own subtree as well, right? Because that's how these trees all work, right? They're all kind of recursively the heads of their own subtree. So all of the syntax works equally well wherever I am in the tree. I can walk through. We have derived fields, like in YT. So I can make a field in almost the exact same syntax, add it, and then query it. I can get the potential as the mass over the radius example. Now this is something a bit different. One thing that you like to do with merger trees is you might want to add new information, right? You want to, crawl through one tree, for example. Maybe you're analyzing one galaxy and actually do some far more expensive things than are just you know, linear combinations of data that already exists. Like maybe I want to grab one halo, open up the snapshot that's associated with it, and do some really expensive analysis and save that as like one number, right? So that's what analysis fields are, right? So you can create an analysis field with a type and a default value, and then you can walk through the tree, and then you can assign values to it. This could be a really expensive process, like what I described, right? Where you actually like make a sphere, grab some data, you know. And the key here is that you make them and you could set things equal, right? Whereas like typically most of this is read only. This is where we're actually writing to the data set. You know? So there, I'm just making this field called TEDs and setting them randomly. So I walk through the whole tree in this way, and then I set each one to a random integer, and I print them out at the end, and there they are, right? So I've made new data. And then if I want to actually save that data, I can do this save arbor, right? And so this will save a new data set in this internal format that I can then reload, which had all of the original data and the new field that I made. So this is the way that you can just keep adding, right? And once I've made this saved data set, I can then reload it and make new analysis fields. And then when I save, it will save in place. It's not like I'm going to get n new data sets every time I do it. This will be the last one, and you can just keep adding to it over and over again. So I can reload that, and then I can do all the same stuff. I can save a single tree as well. I don't have to save the whole data set. And then I can just query, there's my TEDs field from last time, right? I saved it. You can make plots. This uses GraphViz underneath, and you can highly customize this. You can basically use the GraphViz interface to customize like the color and the shape of the connections and of the nodes to make them bigger according to their mass or their radius, you know, to color the massive progenitor line, et cetera, right? And then stop. Oh yeah, right. So this is one of the last things I did that I thought was really neat. With the internal format, you can load it with YT. Right? And it does it sort of automatically, right? So I have my new arbor that I loaded with ytree, the one that I saved, and it's got this YTDS hanging off of it. And this is a YT dataset version of the halo tree, right? So now I can do like sphere selection, right? I can select from my merger tree, like I can make a sphere and collect all halos at all time within that sphere, right? And then, for example, just query it. So those are the masses of all the halos in that sphere that I made randomly. And then I can make like a particle projection plot. And oh, it won't, I forgot to enable scrolling on this one. Imagine there's a lot more to see here. But yeah, so what you can see, for example, is I've colored these by redshift. So this is the same halo, like moving in time, right? Because it grabbed all of the instances at all times of it. Right? So imagine we implemented like time-based selection with some sort of metric or something, right? We could grab individual halos, you know, that way too, right? And so then you can do all the same analysis with these halos with YT, because it's all piped in, right? And what this also allows us to do is to do sort of like database-like selection using YT's cut region data containers under the hood. So I can say things like, I want halos below a mass of 10 to the 3 solar masses above a redshift of 1, right? For example. And it will do that. And then, okay, there's only one. But there you go.
Well, that's the max one.
Oh, that's the max, right? You're right. Thank you. Thanks, Romeo. Yeah, let's take that off. There's actually quite a few, right? So you can do all that too, right? And this is using YT underneath to get the selection, but you can do the geometric selection. You can do all that stuff. So I've talked long enough about this, but there's other things that it can do. So we have parallelism in here that uses YT parallelism under the hood. So this is important. For example, if you parallelize your analysis pipeline, you need to be careful about how you recollect and save all of the results to save them back to the files. You don't want all of your MPI processes trying to write and save, So we have these parallel iterators for iterating in parallel over all trees, over all the nodes in a single tree, or over a general selection of halos, and it will handle all of the recollection and saving underneath and do it in MPI parallelism. And because they're basically built on the parallel objects function, you can just layer them, right? You can do these all the way you want. And we have this analysis pipeline object, which allows you to define this complex workflow of function called X, and then apply them on a list of halos or a list of trees with this parallelism and sort of do it all in one go. That's what this project is about. And there's all the information. You can pip install it, documentation, it's on GitHub, all that.